DJ here with ACHV PEAK, and today we're going to cover how to choose the right resistance or weight when using your resistance bands based on your rep count, your set count, and general fatigue. So if you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel, and if you're looking to lose weight and get stronger, check out our programs we have available. Okay, so one of the first things we need to think about when we're trying to choose a weight or a resistance for a specific exercise is the rep range we're trying to perform in. So with our general workouts, they are timed. So we have a working time, and it's typically between 30 seconds, 40 seconds, or 45 seconds. And in general, we think of it as we try to do a 3-second rep, so 1.5 seconds on the concentric part of the movement, and then 1.5 seconds on the eccentric part of the movement. So that gives us a 3-second rep. So for our 30-second working time videos, we're trying to get 10 reps for each working set. For our 40-second videos is going to be 13 to 14 reps, and then our 45-second working time videos is right around the 15 rep mark. And so what we need to do, so for the rest of this video, what I'm going to do is just assume that we're using a 30-second working time, which is 10 repetitions. So that's what I'm going to base everything off of. And then you can make modifications as needed. So what we need to do first is determine our 10 repetition max, or 10 RM. And what we can do to determine that is grab a set of bands or band that you think you can get right around 10 times for the exercise you're doing. So I'm going to demonstrate with bicep curls. And so what I need to do for bicep curls is use the 3-second reps and then begin to perform controlled bicep curls, right? And then so once I perform these, if I can get to 10 and it's still easy, 11, 12, that tells me that this is too light. So I need to go up in weight or resistance. I need to add another band or modify it to make it tougher. If you can't even get the rep count that you're looking to get, then you need to reduce the resistance so you can at least get at your rep count. So 10 rep max, we're trying to get at least 10. And so you need to reduce the resistance. So once we've figured out what weight or resistance, and with that, what we need to do is, perform that. And if we have to add more resistance, then that's what we need to do, is add it and then give it a minute or two and then try it again. And you should be able to get at the 10 reps, maybe 1 to 2 reps past it. But the idea is you've reached your limit when you can no longer perform the exercise properly. So when you begin to sacrifice your form, so on a bicep, if I were doing bicep and I was at my last and you kind of arms start to shake and you're trying to kind of push it up to help get the final part of that movement, and then you come back down, you got to kind of snatch it back up. Your form is gone, you've reached your limit, that is considered your max. So that's what we need to figure out first. And so just because you have a 10 rep max does not mean that you're actually going to use that resistance. We just want to know what it is, because from there we can add or subtract resistance based on what we're doing. So once we've figured out our rep max for any given exercise and working set, from there, what we need to do is think about how many sets we're going to be performing, because a 10 rep max is the max reps you can get at 100% working capacity of that muscle. But every time you do a set, you reduce the capacity of your muscle to perform work by some amount. And so what we need to do is think about, like, if we're just doing a workout that has 1 set, great, we could use our 10 rep max. But how often do we do that? Almost never. So we need to consider how many sets, or the total volume that we're doing. So if we're doing 2 sets and it's 10 reps per set, that's 20. 4 is going to be 40. And so we need to back off the resistance just a little bit, depending on that, so we can make sure that by the time we're into our later sets, we're still able to get our reps. a really good way to do this is to perform drop sets. So every set, you reduce the resistance just a little bit. And so we can do that by spreading our feet. If you're standing on the band, spreading our feet out, and then every set slowly taking our feet closer, or bringing them closer together, maybe even removing a foot, so then we only have one foot. Obviously, taking away bands, you can use our band stack method to do that, where you just load all the bands up and then pull a band each time you perform an exercise. And then you can also choke up on the band initially, and then every set that you perform, you give the band a couple inches back, which is therefore going to reduce the resistance every set. So that's one thing that we need to consider, is how many sets we're doing for that rep count, so we can make sure that towards the end we're not sacrificing form. Because one of the biggest things you should be focusing on with exercise, number one, is injury prevention. So we need to consider that. The second thing we need to consider is fatigue, which is general fatigue and then specific fatigue. And what I mean by general fatigue is, as you exercise, you become more tired overall. So as you get more tired, your form begins to go to the wayside because you're trying to get the sets. So as you fatigue, you need to consider reducing resistance even more, right? And so if you're doing bicep curls, again as my example, at the beginning of your exercise or your workout, then you can consider adding more resistance to it, or keeping more resistance for that workout. If it's in the back end of a workout, you know, say like some of our hit workouts, we have, they're 36 minutes long. If it's towards the back, if it's on the final quad set, that exercise doesn't even show up till like 28 minutes into the workout. You're not going to be able to perform the same amount of reps at a specific resistance at the end of that you might be able to at the beginning. So you also need to consider where the exercise is in the workout, so you can account for fatigue so you don't get injured. And then when I'm talking about specific fatigue, what I'm referring to is a specific muscle, the muscle that you're working, being fatigued or pre-exhausted from a prior exercise that utilizes that muscle. And so an example might be for biceps. Say we did have bicep curl in a final like quad set, like in the HIIT workout. We might have a bent over row or a reverse grip row where we're doing that in the first set, and that's incorporating the bicep. As you pull back, you're squeezing the bicep. So now the bicep has been utilized and it is fatigued, so it's not at 100% capacity when you get later there because it's already been pre-exhausted. So general fatigue is your overall fatigue as you exercise. Specific fatigue, I'm referring to the specific muscle being fatigued or pre-exhausted from a prior exercise. So with all this, I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, okay, so what do I do? Because really you've explained this, but you're saying not really, or there's some caveats here. So my recommendations for helping you choose your resistance, now that you have all of this information, is to take your rep max for whatever that the set is, the working time is, and then reduce it just a little bit, right? So maybe if you're just using 2 bands or 3 bands, you take 1 band off, and then you perform the workout. Do the actual workout, and you see. And then when you're doing the workout, make notes. Was that exercise too hard? Was I not able to get that amount of reps, or did I get through the reps and it was way too easy? Like at the end of the workout, I don't feel my biceps. There's no pump. I don't have any veins sticking out. I don't feel it the next day, right? And then other ones, maybe you do. Maybe your chest is really sore and you weren't able to get it. You need to make these notes, especially on the first time you perform a workout. So then the next time you perform it, because you should be repeating workouts so you can always progress to be going up in resistance. And the next time you perform the workout, you can make those minor adjustments based off of your previous workout, right? And so maybe the first workout you do a green and blue band for bicep curls, and you're like, oh yeah, man, that was way too easy. I could have got 15 reps, no problem, even at the back end of my workout. Okay, perfect, that's fine. there's no issues with that. You just need to make a note so the next time you perform the workout, you can say, oh, I need a green, a blue, and I'm going to stack a yellow band on there too. And then you repeat the process. You make notes again this workout, and then sooner or later you will have it dialed in. And then after that, every time you work out, you should be trying to increase the resistance in some way or another, just a little bit for each exercise. So just to recap this, you need to figure out your rep max for your given working time. And then from there, now that you know your rep max, you need to potentially reduce the amount of resistance based on how many sets, your overall fatigue, so where the exercise is in the workout, and then the specific fatigue of the muscle that might occur based on previous exercises inside of the workout that are going to exhaust that muscle. So I hope this video was helpful to you, and if you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, if you want to lose weight and get stronger, check out our programs we have available. See you guys.